So today we are going to be looking at graphing lines. I am going to go somewhat quick on this because my hope is that as you see it, you're like, yeah, I've done this before. Oh yeah, I just needed a little reminder on that. And we're not necessarily starting from square one. So with that, I do need you to be up front when we meet again in terms of asking questions or letting me know, man, I didn't understand that as well as I thought I did. So we are looking at graphing a line. First one I'm going to take a look with right here is y equals 2x minus 3. And I just want to remind you guys that when we are graphing lines, or any equation for that matter, we do have the option to make a table. And so the idea when we make the table is you are going to pick some values for x. You technically have complete choice over what you choose. I personally like to make sure I have some points on either side of the y-axis, that being where x is 0. And all I'm going to do is take these values, plug them in for x, and simplify. And so if I were to take negative 2 and plug it in, I would have 2 times negative 2 minus 3. And so if you multiply that together, you're going to get negative 4 minus 3 equals negative 7. Okay? I'm going to come over, plug in negative 1, 2 times negative 1 minus 3. Again, I'm just taking negative 1, plugging it into my equation up above. I'll move over a little bit. And so if I do that, I've got negative 2 take away 3, which is negative 5. Plug in 0, and you'll get 0 minus 3 equals negative 3. Plug in 1. We get 2 minus 3, which is negative 1. And then plug in 2. Equals 1. And so all I have to do is take those ordered pairs and plug them into my graph. And so my first ordered pair right here would be negative 2 comma negative 7. But right now my graph only goes to about 6. And so what I want to just hint at is that if the points don't fit on the graph, you just don't plot those points. You're only going to plot what fits. So I can come to my second point, negative 1, negative 5. So if I come over to my graph, negative 1, down 5, I'm going to have a point right there. My next point is going to be 0, negative 3. So that's going to be right there. I'm then going to be at 1, negative 1. And then finally at 2, positive 1. And so we can see that string of dots right there forming that line. And if I come in with a ruler or some sort of straight edge, I can draw that line in. And this line will be 2x minus 3. So just remember that you've always got the option to plot points and make a table. However, a lot of times we want to take advantage of the shortcuts. That's the whole reason we have our equation y equals, I want to do this. One second, I need a different color. Blue it is. So we have our equation y equals, and the idea is you've got a slope for m, and you've got a y-intercept for b. And so we can use those two values to plot our graph. So when it says that b right here is 1, our graph tells us that b is equal to 1, then that means when I come over to my graph, I'm going to find on the y-axis positive 1, right? That point right there would be 1 because I'm just 1 square up. That is my starting point. And then for my slope, right here, I know that m is equal to 1/2. So that's telling me my rise over run. How far up, how far to the right. So when I start at point 1 right here, I'm going to go 1 square up, and I'm going to go 2 squares to the right. And that's now my next point. And I can do that again. I'm going to go 1 square up, and I'm going to go 2 squares to the right. And that's my next point. Okay? If we were to connect those points 3 points that we've drawn as such, we now have the equation of our line. I'm going to use the same ideas and we're going to look at one more. Keep this video under 6 minutes, 7 minutes. So same idea. I have a starting y-intercept. This is going to be b equal to 6. This is my y-intercept. So if I come over to my graph, I'm going to start at the positive y, and I am up here at y equals 6. I'm then going to look at my slope, which is the number in front of that -3. And here's where it's interesting. At face value, I don't have a fraction. But remember, you can make any number over 1. Okay? And so if we think about our slope being rise over run, this begs the question, well, now our rise is a -3. The fact that that's negative means that I am going down. So when I start at positive 6, I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go to the run of 1. So then I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, and a run of 1. And so if we mark those points right there, we end up with a line that looks like so. And I'm just going to draw in those slope triangles, down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. We can see that pattern like so. So that's just a quick overview when we are graphing our lines.